Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please welcome Mr. Lawrence Klooster, Deputy Director, Joint Service Provider.
Hi, I'm Larry Klooster. I'm the Acting Deputy Director for JSP, and to avoid one question for many of the people who know me, the reason I'm limping is because this morning I took my dog for a walk and he took me down. So, hey, I still like the dog. We had some discussions this morning, though, I will assure you. Okay, what I'd like to do is just give you a short overview of what JSP consists of, who we support, what we do, and then we'll go into our contracting opportunities. The first slide is this is something the new director, Rear Admiral Hurley, put together, and he actually took it from the past team that led there. And what it really amounts to is when he came here and did analysis, he realized this probably accurately describes what we need to do. We have a very diverse group of individuals that we support, so if anything, we must enable every mission. And as I go through a couple things here, you'll understand how broad of an area we have and the number of people, et cetera. Next slide, please. So the purpose of this is where I really was going to talk to you about what we do. So the first thing to just give you an idea of what JSP does. JSP really provides end user support for about 40,000 plus customers. You can go down there later on and if you look at it, it's really that top-notch level of customers. When they first stood up JSP, one of the concepts was bring all this together. You know, in fact, it's very similar to what 4E&O is doing. The Pentagon had had a number of organizations. Each of those organizations, or many, had their own IT support, et cetera. So what JSP did was it was brought this together, and really the big customers we had, of course, are HQDA. We provide the support for them. We also provided for OSD staff and the joint staff. Those are our big customers, which we provide Tier 0 to Tier 3 support, desktop support. We also provide transport support for the other services. In other words, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marine Corps, we provide the transporter within the Washington, D.C. area. So if you look at the bottom of that slide, you can see the areas which we provide support. Pentagon, Crystal City, Mark Center, Hampton Roads, Fort Detrick, and a number of other sites. There's also a number of other buildings within the D.C. area, so it's quite a broad area that we do it. Additionally, I was kind of surprised, we also provide support at Gitmo. We've got elements down there. So if somebody belongs to one of our core mission was to provide IT support for the organizations within the Pentagon. We've tried to consolidate that to just within the Pentagon, but as you can tell, some of them go beyond that. So, as I told you, you can see I had mentioned the Office of Secretary of Defense, Chief Staff. I think I've covered all those. I didn't do a lot on the agencies and field activities. When we stood up, we brought, I believe it's 8 agencies into our fold. These were agencies that are within the D.C. area, they're with them, and we used the model that 4E&O is going to do. We brought them in, we provide all services. We also provide services for about almost every other large agency within DOD because they have an office or a headquarters within the building. So what does this mean? Quite frankly, as Dave said, you've got to understand end-to-end connectivity, and we have to do that. So what they are doing for 4A&O, we're trying to do today, but we haven't experienced. The other day, we had the DHA director that came in, didn't have capability, so we had to go backtrack all the way through and find out what the problem was. Turned out to be, an issue on transport and the website at the other end. But that's the end-to-end capability that we have every day. So that's one of our biggest challenges. Second challenge we have, I would say, is moves. We do about 3,000 to 5,000 moves a quarter. So whoever gets this kind of contract, you'll see some of this later on, or in JSP or in 4E&O, that's going to be one of the things that consume you as well. The last thing we do is we provide support. I didn't give you, it talks in there about the levels. Unlike Fourth Estate, we currently provide support at unclassified, SIPR, and JWICs. We just do it for the desktop as well. Quite frankly, I think there's a lot of discussion that will have to be done on that. So I hope you have a kind of a broad idea of what this has. Basically 40 to 50,000 users, 3 networks. every important person in DC, we sometimes think, at least they tell us that. So short timelines, and exciting stuff like that. So just to give you that, why don't we go to the next slide, and let me just go through some of our opportunities. Okay, first one, that one's off because evidently it's in source selection. Before we started, we were looking at it. The second one is the property and logistics. If you can imagine, with that many users, we're bringing in hardware all the time. We have a warehouse down there, and that's primarily what this is for, is the bringing in the equipment, shooting to the right users, taking out the old equipment and bringing it back, and that's that contract. As you can tell, small contract, single award, 8 days set aside. Next one, enterprise configuration management. Probably one of the most challenging things we have. This team actually has the database and the expertise to manage our, basically our CMDB. Now we're going to continue to migrate beyond that, but that's another small contract, but critical right now. You can see the specs on that as well. We expect to get the RFP out the first quarter and have it awarded by the end of the year. Next slide. This one. This one is dear to my heart, and that's, of course, is the task management system for OSD. We do this for them, but it's just a contract that O&M's that. As you can see, full and open, et cetera. I don't need to go through that. A challenging contract, I will tell you. Engineering development. This is one that we use, that we need. I don't know if you're aware, but we've had as we brought everyone together and we tried to consolidate contracts, this was one of the fatalities, I'll say, in that a lot of reasons for contracts not getting there, but this is basically the engineering support for us. So what sets us apart from DISA is we're end-user focused. These engineers are mostly looking at end-user issues. So that's where we use them. They provide some small solutions, et cetera. As Dave said, we can't afford to develop software solutions. So what we're doing is anything, if there's any engineering, most of the time it's the right IP space, making sure to fit in there. Engineering, the only engineer we're going to have is try to find a commercial solution that answers the question, and maybe some configuration. Next. Next one is just basically our physical security among our some of our sites there. And the last one is a big one. What we're doing, for the state, we're consolidating all our DCO functions into one contract, and that's exactly what that does. And you can see full and open competition, and we hope to have the RFP out by the second quarter. Those are about all the things I have to say, unless you have some questions, but I would like to move off quickly too.
Mr. Klooster, we do have one question.
I failed, didn't I? Okay.
Very briefly, from General Yee, actually. What is the name of the dog?
Okay, I can't divulge that because poor Kresge might be, I might see his picture on a wanted paper. Yes, it's a Kresge. He's a 95-pound German Shepherd, and you don't know how many wild animals are out in the morning. One too many this morning. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Klooster.